Hey guys, what's going on? Drew Danger here. Back on the scene. As promised, if you saw the OG Silverback video, the last one I did of the finished figure, I was talking about my next video, which we're getting into the 80th anniversary of my top hero of all time, Lee Jun Fong, also known as Bruce Lee. Um, I'm sorry, guys. I just a lot of memories come up when I think about this, and I didn't jump on the bandwagon, guys. As a lot of people did. Oh, let me see Bruce Lee. Like a lot of these, hipster people do. They've never even really watched a Bruce Lee movie. They just see the image, and the image just sells it to them. I'm watched the movies as a very young kid. My first Bruce Lee movie, I actually saw. I saw pieces of Enter the Dragon when I was about between 6 to 7 years old, and I thought it looked really great. And I didn't know what I was watching yet. And then when I was probably about 9, I was over at a friend's house, and he said, Have you seen Bruce Lee movies?" And I said, I think I saw pieces of Enter the Dragon, but I didn't really know what I had seen because I didn't quite get it yet. Well, that day I got it. We watched. Now, here's the thing. There's 2 names for it. So, Return of the Dragon and Way of the Dragon. Now, as a kid, we all thought Return of the Dragon was some sort of sequel to Enter the Dragon. But in reality, they were 2 different stories, 2 different characters. His name was Tong Loon in Way of the Dragon, or Return of the Dragon. And he was Mr. Lee in Enter the Dragon, right? So that just had to go through that. But anyway, we watched it, and that's where you first see Chuck Norris, because Chuck Norris is the villain in the movie. Spoilers, if you haven't seen it, sorry, it's been out since the 70s, so might want to catch up on that, guys. But yeah, we get a look at a very young Chuck Norris, no mustache, no beard, sideburns, very scary looking dude in the movie. He doesn't even smile the entire time. He's just got this real serious face, and he stares at the camera like this, and he just put his hand out like signaling for Bruce Lee, like it's his turn, I'm ready, things like that. And he's just got this look on his face like he's just ready for some battle, and then they have the fight in the Roman Colosseum, which is awesome, and it's the actual real one. And they're doing their thing there, and it was great. Many memories. So Bruce Lee, born in San Francisco, 1940, died 1973, died at 32 years of age, which is really young. And he died of cerebral edema. For those of you guys that don't know what that is, I'm not trying to test anybody's intelligence. I'm just trying to say, well, maybe you don't know and you haven't looked it up yet. But he had taken a pill, and it had caused his brain to hemorrhage, and he had died, in a sleep coma-like state. They couldn't wake him out of the coma, and they couldn't cure it. And in the 70s, they didn't have enough info and medical advancements to fix the problem, unfortunately, which is really sad, and then we can briefly touch on his son, Brandon, who died in the 90s, I believe it was 93. Well, yeah, I should know. That was the most memorable birthday I ever had. I had seen Showdown in Little Tokyo. I had seen Rapid Fire when it came out, and I was all crazy about Brandon Lee because, I didn't get a chance to be around for Bruce because he died in 73. I was born in the early 80s. So I missed that, but I was around to grow up around Brandon. And Brandon was great. He was funny. He was, good looking. He was everything every young guy wanted to be. He was tough. He was daring. And he actually got robbed well, somebody tried to break into his house and he messed up the guy because he did later on study Jeet Kune Do. At first, he kind of denied it, and then he ended up accepting it. And I think from what I understood, it had a lot to do with, him. He was really upset about the death of his father and, walking in his father's shadow, and he came to peace with it and studied and, took down a guy, I think he broke his arm, if I remember correctly, his arm or his shoulder, maybe both, in the robbery. And he was in a motorcycle ride, and he was kind of a daredevil, and he lived a daredevil kind of life. But unfortunately, he died on the set of The Crow. And they had to copy and paste the movie to finish it. And I think they did as good as a job as they were going to do. And the movie was great. Turned out really well. It's sad that he didn't get a chance to see that. Just briefly wanted to touch on that. And of course, his daughter Shannon, who keeps Bruce and Brandon's legacy alive, as well as his wife Linda. Does the same with the Bruce Lee Foundation. But Shannon really runs it full time, and she's the main face of it, which is really neat. And she also studied Jeet Kune Do as well. So let's get into it, guys. So Bruce changed the world. In life, we all, at least most people, want to change the world. We want to have an impact on our time here, leave some sort of legacy for our children, different things like that. And the thing about Bruce was he did that and more. For the world of martial arts, this is what people don't understand sometimes, unless they're really engulfed in the world of martial arts and know a lot about Bruce Lee and different things like that. Bruce Lee's the reason that there is a Taekwondo studio down the street from your house, okay? Now, let's get specific with it. Did martial arts exist before Bruce Lee? Of course. Did people do things and have styles and different things like that back then? Of course. But Bruce was the one that said, this is biofreeze. He went, here, this is martial arts. This is what I'm teaching. And not only did he do that, but then he started to put it out there everywhere, and he showed it on film for the first time. I know there's somebody's like, well, there was footage of people doing it. Yeah, there's footage of people doing it back in the day and stuff like that. But Bruce is the one that made it cool, that made it appealing, that put it out there. And he did something that a lot of people, and I know people were like, oh, people were mixing styles. Yeah, but it was a taboo thing. It was very forbidden to do that. Bruce did it in the face of the public, wrote a book called Tao, Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. That's what that means. And he broke down his blueprint on why and how this works. Because I know there's a lot of martial arts guys, because I've seen them, me being a martial arts guy, I've seen a lot of people go, well, Bruce Lee wasn't the first. Other people mix styles, like they're, really kicking down some knowledge. And I'm like, guys, of course other people have done it prior to him around the same time, but Bruce was the one that took it to the next level and exposed it to the whole world, while they were hiding in secret or in only over here and only over there. Bruce brought it to a broad horizon. Bruce brought it to everyone to check out. And Bruce did something that those guys didn't do, which Bruce said, it doesn't matter to me if you're Chinese, Japanese, black, blue, yellow. If you want to be a student and you're willing to work, I'm willing to teach. I'm looking for good people, because underneath everything, the sky, I can't remember the exact quote, but I believe it was underneath the sky, we are all the same and we are all God's children. And Bruce said that a lot. And I know there's people in there saying, well, Bruce Lee didn't create that quote. It doesn't matter. He used it because it was effective to what he was trying to tell the world. And if the message is good, then it needs to be repeated, correct? Okay. It's just a lot of people give Bruce Lee a lot of heat. because he was so innovative and he brought beauty into the world. And because others may have thought of this, or others may have had similar philosophies, or others may have done this or done that, because Bruce has said it or made it known, they think that that's stealing, or something like that, like somebody else can't think of that or give praise to that, like only they're allowed to do it, which is a stupid concept. And that's what Bruce believed in, was that we should all be sharing if it makes life better. As Bruce once said, if it makes you good in a fight, it doesn't matter where it comes from. I got to do the chess thing right. You should learn to use it. Right? And he was 100% right. And that's in all parts of life, not just martial arts. That's in everything. If this is this great, then learn to use it. Then apply it to yourself and make yourself better. Learn to defend yourself. Learn this technology, whatever. If it betters it, try it out. Why not? You're able to grasp it, to touch it, to see it, to hear it, to taste it. Why not? Right? But people are scared of change and trying to get things going. Bruce was also, and this is something that a lot of people seem to forget, Bruce was a big activist for anti-bigotry. Now, let me tell you guys a little story. Bruce Lee's, I believe it was his mother. This was in China back in the day when he was training and with Ip Man. And it was found out that he had European ancestry in his bloodline. And at the time when that was discovered, they banned him from learning from Ip Man, the secrets of Wing Chun. He couldn't do it. So you're wondering, well, how did he do it? Well, Ip Man liked him well enough where he trained him at times where people weren't around and wouldn't notice. And that's how he completed his training. But Bruce Lee hated bigotry because in his heart he knew it was wrong. But then when he lived through it, and he's like, wait, I'm a Chinese guy. They're Chinese guys and girls. But I'm being criticized because somebody in my bloodline happens not to be Chinese. And I'm not Chinese enough? My goodness. And so when he came to the States and he saw how black people were being treated, how Asian people were being treated, how Hispanic people were being treated, he wasn't for it. And Bruce had students of all different colors and walks of life. As you guys know that know your stuff, he trained James Colburn, the actor, James Garner, the actor, Steve McQueen, the actor, right? He trained Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the basketball player for the Lakers, who was in the movie Game of Death because he picked up that quick and I thought it'd be a great thing in the movie. He worked with Chuck Norris. You guys a lot of people are forgetting that Bruce's circle was everybody. And I had the honor and privilege of meeting Master Jim Kelly, who, if you guys don't know, Jim Kelly was in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. He played Williams. He had a big afro. He's the only black guy you see in the movie. So if you missed it, I don't know what to tell you if you don't know who he is. But let me tell you about my awesome time with Master Jim Kelly. Now, Jim Kelly was the first black martial arts champion, and he held that title in Japan for a long time. He was very, very good. He was no joke. Now, the sad part about doing the movie was this. John Saxon was the big name. People knew who he was and stuff. So originally, from what I understand, Jim Kelly's character, Williams, was supposed to be the character that lived, and John Saxon was supposed to die, because if you think about it, he was the one on the run doing the shady business deals, always betting money and running out of luck, right? So it kind of made sense. And he's the guy that has the least martial art experience out of the group, right? Because you want your hero to be the toughest guy, right? If you got Superman, right, and you got Batman in the movie, right, why kill Batman or Superman and let me think of somebody, Kite Man live, It doesn't make sense, right? So when you put the best of the best on the table, you want the best of the best to bring the best to your movie. Well, because John Saxon was the bigger name. They killed off Jim Kelly, which was lame. And to this day, like I was just rewatching Enter the Dragon last night, and to this day, as a kid, I couldn't. I only watched him. You know, you watch the death scene of him. I watched it maybe once or twice. To this day, I kind of just speed through a little bit because I can't do it because I just think it's so messed up. Like it's so backwards and wrong. So anyway, when I met Jim Kelly, I met him back in 2014, I believe, and he was great. He autographed my copy of Black Belt Jones, which was his main movie where he was his main character, Black Belt Jones. Bell Jones. Super cool, kind of black exploitation movie. But I enjoy it because Jim Kelly's at his finest and he does some really awesome kick butt fight in that movie. And I talked to him. So this is cool, guys, because I'm sitting and talking to someone who not just knew Bruce Lee, that was friends with Bruce Lee, who trained with Bruce Lee, who knew what Bruce Lee had to bring to the table. And you know what he told me? He said, let me tell you something, kid. Bruce Lee was the real deal. He was like, a lot of people are going to say because he did movies and, you know, and they're going to base it upon his movies. But he's like, his philosophy, and actually when you train with him and you watch him fight, he was like, that guy was out of this world good. And he was like, here's the thing. A lot of people discredit him because he didn't do the competitive fighting ring, you know, the tournaments, and he didn't do that stuff. I mean, he showed up to them and he would demo, you know, sometimes, and that was it. He was like, the thing about it was, you know, Bruce, he really didn't believe in a lot of the tournament stuff. And he wasn't really just into that scene. He felt as if it wasn't good enough to really kind of bring his art to what he was trying to do. And it was no disrespect to any of the guys. He got it, but just for him personally, he just felt like, nah, I don't think this is what I want to do. Okay, because the thing about it was that I know historically, and what Mr. Kelly had shared with me, is that Bruce street fought, and he just came to it. You know, you wanted to fight him, and you got him on that right day, he just fights you. You know, and the right day was pretty much any day. You know, like he didn't really turn down any fights. He went toe to toe with people on movie sets while they were taping, whatever. He kicked out a fight, and they said it would be the craziest thing because Bruce would just mop over people in seconds. The thing about it, guys, is you don't get any better than Bruce Lee, because where a lot of people, there's a lot of stories and, you know, people saying this and saying that. When you hear about Bruce, it was like, hey, this guy showed up and challenged Bruce. Bruce fought him. Bruce won. And it was some serious stuff. That's what you hear about Bruce. Every story, you hear that. You don't hear, you know, well, you know, this and that and these elaborate stories. You know, you don't hear anything. You just hear there was a fight and it was bad and Bruce just beat down people. And he showed no mercy. You know, like when he came at you like with fire and fury, because see, Bruce's thing was he didn't want fights to be long. He was like 60 seconds. He had these rules. A fight is only supposed to be this long. You should be able to do it in this many kicks or punches and technique. So he was like, I'm down for the fight because I want to get my theory down right. I want to get it quick. So if I could take this guy out in 10 seconds, or I think I could hit him with one punch and take him out in 5 seconds, I want to try it. That was Bruce. So Bruce was always evolving, changing his body, evolving his mind, evolving his body. I mean, he was doing all sorts of things, and he eventually wanted to fight Muhammad Ali. That was something we never got a chance to see, but had he lived longer, we would have gotten it because he was definitely pushing for it, and I believe Muhammad Ali would have allowed him to do it. Now, who would have won is a talk that people have. Personally, I put it on Bruce. I really do. I put it on Bruce Lee. Because he had a way of handling fights. And this is what I'm saying. I know Muhammad Ali. He's a bad dude. He was the boxing champ. He was tall. He was lean. He was thick. He was ready to go. But there's something about Bruce where he brings it to the table a little bit different. I think Muhammad Ali, and no disrespect, but he's used to boxing these guys, and he's not used to a lot of surprises, when it comes to a fight. He's usually, okay, I'm going to box this guy and I already know everything, and I'm watching him and I'm going to box. But Bruce was so fluent and adaptable, and he could change the people's styles by watching them, and in some ways be better than them. Um, I think he would have adapted, and I think he would have it would have been an interesting fight. Now I could be wrong. That's okay. I'm just talking, guys. I'm just expressing about how I feel personally. So don't take it to heart. I don't want to see any trolls on here saying blah, 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 and all that stuff. We're just talking, guys. It's just Bruce Lee Day. Let's enjoy it. Before I run out of time here on this video, I'm representing with the Bruce Lee hat. This is the scene from Enter the Dragon where he's fighting Mr. Han right before the mirrors break out. And he laid the smackdown on Han, and he's standing and goes, Hacha. This is the scene. And there's a signature on the hat. Beautiful hat. I love it. I'm wearing, my sister actually got this for me. This is a Chinese Kung Fu shirt. She actually had this made for me. They're silk on the inside. Check it out. It's got pockets. Very nice. I've had this for a long time. Dragons on the front. Sleeves all looking cool. Love it. Thought I'd wear that in remembrance and representation of Master Lee. And here's my other Bruce Lee hats. Here's my Be Water, my friend's hat. Okay, love this hat. It's a great hat. Enjoy it. And this is my Year of the Dragon hat. Bruce Lee. Very cool. So, yeah, I love Bruce and representing with those hats. And I want to show you guys. This came out. This is the 80th edition action figure. It's empty because I have the figure out. I'm going to show that in a minute. This came out. Pick up one, guys. Show some love and support for the Lee family. 80th anniversary. You can't miss that. Diamond for Life did it. They do the more higher scale Marvel Legends. I mean, not Marvel Legends. What's their line? They do the higher, pretty much they do the higher end Marvel Select. There you go. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a minute, guys. So there's that. Here's the figure. About 8 to 7 inches. It's a great figure. So it's great, man. I love it. Anything that represents Bruce in a good light, I'm all for it. I forgot. Wearing a Bruce Lee shirt. Almost forgot. Love it. Get inspired every day I work out. Look at that shirt and remember what I'm supposed to do. Also, I picked up, if you guys don't know about this, it's beautiful. Check this out. The Criterion Collection. As you guys know, the Criterion Collections are like the best in the West when it comes to film restoration off the planet to get the most classic films, make them real nice for you. So this is every Bruce Lee movie, including Enter the Dragon. Because if you guys know, in previous times when they did Bruce Lee box sets, DVD, VHS, they always left out Enter the Dragon as a separate thing. And I think that was something that had to do with the other films were pretty much made in China and underneath Chinese distributors. And, Warner Brothers did Enter the Dragon. And maybe there was some sort of copyright and they couldn't put them together. But for this, they worked it out. It's all in there. There's biography. They go through everything. It's really neat. This is the best of the best. I really enjoy it. I was so glad to get it. You could get it, I think, online for like, if lucky, you can get it for like $70, $80. maybe you might get lucky and pay 60 something for it. But check it out, Criterion Collection, Bruce Lee, This Is Everything. Okay. Um, and also, I found out later it's in here, but in this set. But this is the Warrior's Journey. They talk about this. The thing about Game of Death was we only had. I remember as a kid, they said it was an unfinished film. So when you went through it and watched it, you don't really see Bruce. You see clips, like little images, like mirror images and little clips of Bruce, but there's another actor playing him. And then it just becomes that other actor. And it's kind of weird and hokey and dummy heads of Bruce and weird stuff like that. And then when you get to the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fight, all of a sudden when he rolls on the floor and he stands up, it's Bruce, you know? And I remember as a kid, we would fast forward and wait, oh, where's Bruce? There he is. And then the fight would be over. Then it'd go back to the other guy and you'd feel, oh, whatever. And so the movie was kind of weird because of that. This movie, they found years later, pretty much the completed film of the original concept of Game of Death and everything explained. And it was supposed to be the ultimate Bruce Lee movie, and you get to see the missing footage, and you get to see the complete film just about. And it's really neat because you get a lot of Bruce's thoughts when he's fighting. You get to see Kareem talk because in the regular Game of Death, you don't really see him talk a lot and stuff. So you get more of an interaction and a complete story. And he's in this pagoda, and each level was a different martial art master. And you go and then it starts making sense better. So if you guys, this is an inexpensive thing to get. It's still on DVD, and from what I understand, I haven't got to it on here, but they said the complete version of Game of Death is on here. I'll let you guys know later when I get to it. But yeah, definitely pick this up. It's a good, and I have to, of course, represent anything that represents Bruce Lee. The Last Dragon. If you haven't seen this movie, you have no culture, buddy. That's the only way I could put it. No disrespect, but you just don't have the culture. This whole movie is built on the world of Bruce Lee. Okay? You need to see it. Okay? About Bruce Leroy Green. And he is on this journey to be to the same level as Bruce Lee and to accomplish the level of the glow. And it is amazing because it teaches you a life lesson that no matter sometimes where you go and you're looking for things and you're thinking you have to go on this long journey, sometimes things are right in front of you. And that very thing that's in front of you is yourself. And it's always been inside you. But because you don't believe in yourself and you think you need all this extra stuff, you'll never accomplish what you truly are and what you truly can become, which is a master. And you are the last dragon when you discover that. Beautiful message. So I wanted to show that and give some love to the Lee family. Thank you. Thank you for influencing me and others and encouraging us to believe in our dreams and pushing hard. And also, I studied Jeet Kune Do, and I've gotten back into some training with it in the past, you could say, year or two, and it's been great. And I want to get higher and higher with it and understand its mysteries even deeper. So, as they say with Hair Club for Men, what was it? What was the saying? I'm not just a member. I'm a client. That's what it is. I think it was something like that. So the same way with Jeet Kune Do. I'm not just somebody that just read the book. I'm also a student and studying. And if you guys haven't thought about checking out any Jeet Kune Do, please do. It can change your life. Trust me. And with it, I would recommend mixing some Wing Chun, since that was Bruce Lee's first art that he really learned and got into underneath Ip Man. I'm all over the place. Can't talk today. So check it out, guys. And leave something in the comments. Excuse me. Let me know what you guys think. Any Bruce Lee fans? Something new to you? Let me know. Be awesome, guys. And be water, my friends. This is Drew Danger. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Out.